Some of these books I'm getting rid of because I just did not like them. Huge book unhaul. Blah, 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 blah. I did read this book and I hated it. Bye-bye. Couldn't get into it. I was bored, icky. Must have sounded appealing to me at one point. Welcome back to my channel. I am Brenda and this is Reading by Myshelf. So this video is for probably all my bookish nerd friends who just can't help but watch a person haul and unhaul books, because this is a huge book haul. So recently I did a huge birthday book haul where I hauled 27 books. In order to clear out the bookshelves, I am going to do a huge book unhaul. I have 28 books that I have pulled off my shelves and that I'm getting rid of. Some of these books I'm getting rid of because I just did not like them. Some of these books I've just had on my shelves for way too long and I'm never going to read them. And some of these books I DNF. I won't talk at great length about most of them because there are so many, but I will tell you why I'm getting rid of them. Also, maybe a little bit about them. So let's just jump into it. The first book I have is The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. I had read a series that she wrote several years back. Can't think of the name of it offhand, but I really enjoyed it. So when I saw that she was coming out with another one and I belonged to the Book of the Month box, I figured that I would use my selection for that. And this is a retelling of The Nutcracker. I attempted to read this during Christmas time and I got about, I don't know, a third of the way in maybe, and I found myself like not wanting to pick it up, so I just put it down and didn't finish it. I'm not sure if it was the fact that it felt kind of like a YA book. It just felt and I think it might even be a YA book. It just felt very, very boring to me. I just didn't vibe with it. So I DNF'd it. So I will probably put this on Pango Books. If it sounds interesting to you and you like YA and retellings, then this may be something you might be interested in. Next, I have The Goldfinch, and my reason for unhauling this is twofold. One, I own 2 copies of this book, and 2, I started reading this and didn't finish it. I had read The Secret History by Donna Tartt many years ago, and I did enjoy that. I know that this is a very popular novel, and so I expected to love it. It won the Pulitzer Prize. But for whatever reason, maybe it was just the timing, I just couldn't get into it. I do have another copy, which I am keeping, and I may give this another shot at some point. But this will be going on Pango Books. Next we have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I did read this book and I hated it. I'm not a Colleen Hoover fan. I think there was one book that she wrote and I don't recall the name of it, but it was about a girl and a musician. I'll see if I can find it and post it. But after I read that book, I thought, oh, Colleen Hoover, she's a new one I can check out. And I've read a few others by her and I just did not vibe with them. I just thought they were in your face and just kind of obnoxious, honestly. My own personal opinion. No hate, no shade to those of you who are Hoover fans, but bye-bye. Next we have The Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I read this book. I really enjoyed this book. I think that she's a great writer, but I just don't ever see myself picking this back up again. Needed to make some room, so it's going in the Pango Books pile. I think the next bunch of these I have stacked here I did read. This is The Scribe of Siena by Melody Winnower. I read this book. I very much enjoyed it. It is reminiscent of Outlander, in which a girl travels back in time and she finds herself in Italy in 1347. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos where I've mentioned Italy, you'll know that I adore Italy and Italian culture and landscape and everything. So this was an easy decision for me to pick this up, and I found it actually recommended on Facebook. I think somebody was asking for books like Outlander, and someone mentioned this, and so I found it used somewhere, and I loved it. It was great, but I don't see myself picking it back up again because it is kind of a romance as well as a time period story, and gotta make room. Next we have Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. This is another book of the month subscription box purchase, and I had heard a lot of people raving about this book, and I read it I gave it about the first quarter or third of it, and I just couldn't get into it. I was bored. I didn't care about the characters. Like I've said before, reading is supposed to be fun and not torture, so I DNF'd it. I feel a trend coming on, but this was another book of the month box purchase, The Stardust Thief. I started this book, and you can see my little marker there. I got not very far, and I put it down. Just was not into it, didn't care. If I'm reading something and I don't see it getting better because for whatever reason it's not working for me, whether it's the characters or the setting or the plot, whatever it may be, I will put it down. I have no qualms about DNFing a book. Even if it's temporarily, I'm going to put it down and move on to something else. Next we have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I started reading this again. I think I got 100 pages in or so, and I put it down. I picked this up because it is about magic and witches, I believe. Yeah, Amelia and her twin sister are witches who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution, blah, 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 blah. But it is very much a young adult or even new adult novel. Very much a romance kind of fantasy story. I mean, it's beautiful. The cover is gorgeous. I really love it. But I don't know, it just didn't work for me. So that's going to go on Pango Books as well. This next one is The Beasts of Extraordinary Circumstance by Ruth Emmy Lang. I picked this up because another YouTuber that I followed at the time was going to do like a buddy read on Discord for this book. And I started it, I got 40 pages in, and I put it down. Again, I just did not vibe with it. I was bored, but I've heard people say it is good, that it's kind of magical realism, I believe. Next I have The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez, and I talked about this in my most disappointing books of 2023. I just did not get on with this book. I think that Jimenez is a talented author. His writing, his prose is good, and I did finish the book. I read the whole thing, but for whatever reason, I just did not connect with the characters in this book. I felt like the plot was a little disjointed, a little all over the place for me. Those are my thoughts, my opinion. But I do recommend that people read this because so many people love it, and it is a space opera with some time travel elements and has some intriguing, kind of twisty, unique ideas in it. This bind up of the Jeff Vandermeer Annihilation trilogy, or the Southern Reach trilogy. It's got Annihilation, Authority, and Acceptance in it. I read this several years ago. I think I read it all. I'm trying to remember. I either read it all or I read the first two in this bind up, and I liked the first book, Annihilation. That was decent. It was pretty good, so I continued. And Authority, I think from what I remember, it just was weird and boring, not my cup of tea. Next we have, I'm not even sure, but these are two Julia Quinn novels. It's In His Kiss and On the Way to the Wedding. I bought these because somebody recommended them, because again, I'm a fan of Outlander, and these are like historical romance books, but I'm pretty sure I picked up one of them and I didn't like it. It felt kind of in your face, icky. It felt icky, so I didn't continue. Next I have The Deloriad by Missouri Williams. This is going in this pile because I have 2 copies by accident. I somehow ordered 2. I have not read this. I don't know if it's good. It is about a mysterious environmental cataclysm that has wiped out the rest of humankind. The matriarch, her brother, and the family descended from their incest cling to existence on the edges of a deserted city. The matriarch, ruling with fear and force, dreams of starting humanity over again, though her children are not so certain. Together the family scavenges supplies and attempts to cultivate a poisoned earth. Heard that this is a great read, so I will pick it up eventually. I do love that green on the cover. The Sisters of the Winterwood. I believe that I picked this up because it says, in a remote village surrounded by vast forests on the border of Moldova and Ukraine, the sisters Liba and Leia have been raised in the honeyed scent of their mammy's babka and the low rumble of their tatsi's prayers. But when a troop of mysterious men arrives, Layla falls under their spell, despite her mother's warning to be wary of strangers, and this is not the only danger lurking in the woods. Sisters realize the old fairy tales are true and could save them all. It sounds good. I've just had it forever and I've never picked it up. And it is, I believe, like a YA. So, I just went to the next one. Now, Dean Koontz, One Door Away from Heaven. I have been a Dean Koontz fan in the past, though the most recent books that I've picked up I didn't get into. I don't even know that I ever tried this one. I believe I got it. Oh, yes. A Costco book? I don't know. I've just had it forever and I don't see myself reading it, so I'll give it to somebody who will. Similarly, we have Dean Koontz, 77 Shadow Street. I read some of this, like maybe a third, and I didn't like it, and so I DNF'd it. I believe this was a Christmas present, but many years ago. Next I have Sorcery of Thorns. I believe I bought this because it was such a pretty cover, but it is a YA novel, and me and YA, you have to be a special YA for my heart to accept you. And this is, it does have a great library in it, and sorcery and magical grimoires that whisper on the shelves and rattle beneath iron chains. So that is probably why I picked it up, because it has like a magical library and grimoires. But again, I don't know, I just don't seem to ever want to even attempt these YA stories because I just know it's going to be a waste of time. I don't know, I just don't like them. Next we have, and I've had this for 15 years maybe, this is Roses by Layla Meacham. I believe this is like a generational tale. It's very big. Mary could never ever give up the plantation. That would mean betraying her father and his father and all the Tollivers before them, who had wrested the land from the forests, had sweated and toiled, sacrificed and died for the thousands of acres they lived to see swelling with the pride of their labor. No way in tarnation would she sacrifice Somerset for the sake of male pride. But she loved Percy. He was a thorn in her side, and she couldn't pull out, no matter how hard she tried. Must have sounded appealing to me at one point. Next we have 2 Kate West books. The Fill-In Boyfriend and By Your Side. I think I read a Kate West, or no, her name's Casey West, first of all. I think I read a Casey West book at one point, and I liked it. I thought it was a good, fun, quick romance. It wasn't icky, and I enjoyed the character development and the setting in it. So I thought, oh, well, I'll try some more of these. I think I got them on Book Outlet. Maybe? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And so they were cheap, and I don't know, never picked them up. They've been sitting on my shelf for ages, and it's time. Next we have The Vegetarian by Han Kang. I bought this many years ago. This is a Man Booker International Prize Award winner from 2016. It is a darkly beautiful modern classic about rebellion, eroticism, and the female body. One of the most extraordinary books you will ever read. And it's tiny, but I don't know, never picked it up. I don't know, I feel like it had its day in the sun, and now I'm never gonna pick it up. Then we have Vampires in the Lemon Grove by Karen Russell. author of Swamplandia. I believe this is another book outlet purchase. It says a dejected teenager discovers that the universe is communicating with him through talismanic objects left behind in a seagull's nest. In a family's disastrous quest for land in the American West, the monster is the human hunger for acquisition, and the victim is all we hold dear. An unforgettable parable of addiction and appetite, mortal terror and mortal love. Two vampires in a sun-drenched lemon grove try helplessly to slake their thirst for blood. I don't know. Oh man. Next I have Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. Again, I feel like this is kind of a YA book. I don't know, I could be wrong. Let me look. I don't know. Scholomance? It looks cool. It looks like dark academia, which I do enjoy. But I've never picked it up and I've had it forever. When did it even come out? Let's look. Oh, 2020. I guess it hasn't been that long. Maybe I'll keep it. No, I'm getting rid of it. Next, we have The Heroine Diaries. A Year in the Life of a Shattered Rock Star by Nikki Sixx. I've bought several biographies about rock stars, and I don't know, in theory, I thought they sounded appealing. This one is, like, the inside is, the pages are the thick, like, shiny material, and there's, like, pictures and colored type. So, I don't know. I never got into it, and I never will. I know that now. In the same train, we have War, an unauthorized biography of William Axl Rose. I'm an 80s girl, so all of these bands, these rock stars, I was digging it for a while, but I don't know. I think it's fun to look at the pictures. There's plenty of pictures in here. Yeah, poor Axl Rose. He has not aged well. Then we have Slash with Anthony Bozza. I think if I was going to read any of them, it would probably be this one because, Slash is a pretty awesome guitarist. Anyway. And last, My Bookie Wook by Russell Brand. I bought this because, Russell Brand's pretty freaking hilarious, right? But is he hilarious enough to hold my attention for an entire book? Not likely. Plus, I think he pissed me off at one point. I don't know. I am never going to read this, so I'll pass it on to somebody else who may care. Although, he does have a podcast now, and he's been on Joe Rogan, and he has some pretty good things to say and some valid perspectives. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up. I will put probably most of these books on my Pango Books account, which I have linked in the description box below. So if you are interested in any of them, make sure you go and check it out. If there are any of these that you think that I should maybe reconsider, let me know. Tell me why, and maybe I will give it another look. Check out my book reorganization video and my book haul video if you're curious as to what that looked like, what new books I got, and like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more. I post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. See you again soon. This book,